All right, good morning. Just trying to get everything set up here. Oh, a bit tired this morning. Oh, all right. Let's see what we got here. It looks like we sold off pretty heavy here overnight. Actually, kind of been selling off since about 2:30 yesterday afternoon. Been a nice new low there at 14,973. Let's see here. So if you're not familiar with what we're going to be looking for here, we're going to be looking for the silver bullet. And we're going to be a little more aggressive with our size tonight, this morning. I think we're going to take 2 contracts on each. So let's see. ES is sold off all the way down to 43.95. Kind of needs to regain that 44.04 level to get back going here. So on the NQ, you can see we ran the liquidity here to the downside. Kind of had a market structure shift back to the upside. We sold back down, and now we're kind of basing in this 14,993 area. So let's see what happens here. And open. Well, at 3 o'clock. Had a little liquidity void there. Fair value gap. Traded back into it. So watching a 3-minute chart here. Possible, kind of move out of here. And then return back to one of these areas to offer us an entry. Let's kind of see what we get here, though. All right, 3 o'clock officially. Officially, 3 o'clock. Selling off here a little bit at open. ES sold back to 43.96. I guess I need to make sure there's audio here. All right, yeah, we're good there. Oh, I got I got the wrong chart pulled up over here. What's wrong with me? Ugh, excuse me. So trying to touch these lows here. Yes, running the liquidity down there at the lows. So ideally what we'd like to see is some displacement back to the upside. Now we don't need the NQ to run this liquidity because it's already ran it once. It's already made a new low, so it's not necessary for it to run it again. Sometimes it's nice to see for it to run it, but it's not necessary since it's technically already created a low there. We're just looking for some sort of displacement here. Kind of back to the upside. And we'll look for an entry. So kind of on the 1 minute chart here, we'd like to see this kind of break this 14,994 area and leave us some sort of entry point. And then kind of the same thing here on the 3 minute chart. Like it trade up through here, possibly even up above this 15,005 area. And then kind of come back down for an entry. We'll see what we get. We shall see what we get. He is kind of bouncing out of their area as well. So what I'd like to see is the market structure shift on the 1 minute chart and on the 3 minute chart. It's really what we'd like to see just for you know, the strength of the move back up here. This makes it more of a likelihood that we are on the right side. Still may not be, but that's kind of what we're looking for. Yeah, I don't know if you've watched my video recap from last night, but I really fumbled the bag on the silver bullet setup yesterday morning during London. So we are going to do our best to not do that today. Trying to outline our entry today and put our orders on the books. And if we get tagged in, we get tagged in at the price point where we want to, or we just don't. So So just kind of sitting here waiting for our setup to form. I guess the idea is we're looking for something back to the upside here, some sort of structure shift back to the upside, like we said. Really would like to see this thing pierce that 15,005 level. That would be a nice shift that would give me confidence that we're going to be moving back to the upside pretty strong. If you're unfamiliar, usually in these London sessions, we kind of retrace. It's kind of like lunchtime in New York. We usually will retrace some of the move that we made from overnight. So if we sold off, which we did, then usually we start retracing that move in the 3 to 4 a.m. Eastern hour. Same thing during kind of like that 11:15, 11:30 a.m. time till about 1 during the New York session. If we sell off in the morning, we usually will kind of retrace some of that move during that hour, if not all of it, the last couple of days. So I think we've had about 100-point move up these last couple of days. So yeah, we had a losing session for the London. I think I took some scalps. Was down about $400 on each account, 362 or something like that. And then I took some scalps back to the upside on the Apex. And got it back to 0, dead even. And then, so we were still down like 362 or 262, I think, going into the open there. But couldn't get any momentum there at open. Took a couple losers right away at the 9:30 hour. Had made a rule not to trade that early in the morning, but was not supposed to trade between 9:30 and 10, but did anyway. It took a couple more losers. Never really could get any momentum going at that point. So we're getting a structure shift to the upside here on the 1-minute chart. We also have one on the 3-minute. I really would like this 95 or even this 15,005 level to be broken to kind of give that extra confirmation that we're going to kind of be on sides here, but I guess we don't have to have it. On the 1-minute chart, you can see we shifted to the upside. This high, breached this high, kind of trading back into a order block here. Let's see how it reacts to that order block. To this point, not really respecting it like we'd like to see. As you can see here, there's not really an entry. You could have maybe used this small order block as an entry, but doesn't seem to have respected that. Just kind of watching the price action here. Yes, making new lows there, 43.94. NQ kind of failing to do so at this point. I mean, there could be an argument made for, we kind of left this volume imbalance here, traded right back up into it, so could have taken a short here for the move down to the lows. Could have taken a short here from 89 down to 74. Been a nice little 15 handle move, but kind of looking for that silver bullet in the other direction is what I'm thinking since we've sold off overnight. This is part of the reason why I do like the London session, is because you can almost eliminate, you've got a big sell-off, you can almost eliminate the silver bullet being to the downside. It's almost always going to be back to the upside when there is a sell-off, or at least in my opinion, at least from what I've kind of seen. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. Potential move back to the upside, market structure shift to the upside. Created a new low there, 14,970. ES down into the 93s. My charts are kind of blinking on and off here. Don't know if my internet's being wonky. Like I said, really want to see a shift back to the upside. Really want to breach that 95 kind of area there on the 3-minute chart and leave us some sort of entry on the 1 minute. I like to see confirmation on the 3-minute, maybe even the 5-minute, and then look for an entry on the 1 minute. Oh, I didn't even bring up my 2-minute chart. What's wrong with me? Let's get those up here. Yeah, kind of getting tighter and tighter here in this range. Something should happen soon here. ES is kind of hanging out at a pivot at 43.95. See where the next pivot is on the NQ. It's down at 939, and the upside pivot 15,106. So trying to get a little shift to the upside here. Looking a little better for what we're trying to see. Like for this to really pierce through this 95 liquidity here, and then potentially leave us an opening there. Let's just watch it and see what happens here. So we got our shift to the upside there that we're looking for, 85.75. So we're going to look for price to come back down here and tag us in. Stop's going to be down here at the low. And we don't care that this continues higher. We want it to come back and tag us in based on the 1 minute chart. I mean, if we have this volume imbalance here on the, is that a volume imbalance? Or am I just sleepy? It looks like one. I mean, I guess you could technically take your entry there, but let's just wait for it to come back and tag us in there at the 85. And we'll be looking for 20 handles on the first contract, and then a little more on the second contract. Not going to be super greedy here. I think that would kind of be like, I don't know, $900 or so on each. So let's just be patient here, see if it comes back and tags us in. This is my problem last night, is I'm like, you know, I get antsy thinking this is gonna go without me, and then I jumped in a spot where I'm not supposed to, and I get a worse feel than I'm supposed to. When if I'm just patient and wait for it, it'll come back and tag us in, and if it doesn't, it just doesn't, right? So let's wait for price to come back and potentially offer us an entry. I mean, like I said, we could potentially move this up to 89. But I'd like to get the fill down here at 85. Well, we'll just kind of see here. The more we move it up, the more risk we have to take on. So we have this volume imbalance here, so I'm expecting price to at least revisit this area. That's the expectation, at least. It may not. I do think I should move this first target up to just below the VWAP. Seems reasonable. All right, well, we got orders on the book, 2 contracts on each. Now we're just waiting. Waiting to see if we get tagged in and if we're on the right side or not. That's all you can really do. Price kind of coming back down towards that imbalance now. Let's kind of see how it reacts to the that area. Like I said, I'd really like it to fill this at the 85.75 level. We could, if we wanted to kind of guarantee that we're going to get filled there, we could move this up to that, whatever this is, 80, 89 area. But I feel like probably should revisit this imbalance here at the very least. So nothing new to do now. I'll just sit here and wait. See if we get tagged in. Yeah, the gap on the 2-minute chart is right there at 90 as well. ES really still hasn't had a structure shift to speak of. It's looking a little bit weaker at the moment. Still just hanging out at the pivot point. There is quite a bit of risk on this trade, not going to lie. Even at 85.75, you see our stop has to be 16 handles down there, which is $640 in risk on 2 contracts. So almost makes me want to take one off, but really want to have a nice an opportunity for a nice winner here. Yeah, starting to push up here back into that 43.97 level. Needs to kind of get above that 4,400 level to have a shift in structure here on the ES. I mean, I guess technically there'd be a shift in structure at 43.99, even 43.98.50. But you really like to see a little burst up and then a pullback there on the ES. Get these two kind of in sync, get them going at the same time, potentially. Nothing to do here but to wait, see if we get tagged in. You can see there on the 3-minute chart, really still hasn't traded back into that imbalance yet. Hasn't really offered an entry yet on the 3-minute chart. I mean, technically on the 1-minute chart, we could have taken the entry up here on this, you know, got a small fair value gap here that it traded back into and kind of bounced out of. That's there at the 89. Yeah, 89 area. I just feel like it should revisit this, I mean, maybe not all the way to 85, but I think it will. So be a little more patient today with our entry, like I said, considering how I've done the last few days on the entries there. Haven't gotten the best entries. ES really hasn't gotten going yet. It's still hanging out at the lows down here at the 95. I'm considering moving this up to this imbalance. All right, finally getting a shift up here on the ES, traded up to that 98.25. That's technically a shift to the upside there on the ES. So let's see if it can print an imbalance in there. I'm going to move this up to 88. Just want to make sure that we get tagged in. Although we should. All right. So ES did leave a very tiny gap on the 1 minute chart with an imbalance, a volume imbalance there. So let's see if we can get tagged in here. This is where I've been struggling, just being patient on this thing coming back and tagging me in, because, you know, normally I would have just taken the entry here at 91, 92, and it would have traded all the way up to 12 already. Would have been up 20 handles at that point. But just have to have confidence that it's going to trade back down here to my entry. ES is kind of trading back down into that imbalance now. Repainting that imbalance. Didn't get a structure shift on the, there's no real entry point on the ES on the 3 minute. hopefully on a day that I'm being patient like this, it doesn't cost me, because I, normally would have taken this entry at 91 when it traded back into it. But trying to get the better entry here. I don't see how it doesn't trade back down to this imbalance. I really don't. I mean, I don't want to say it has to, but I'd be shocked if it didn't. And then kind of give me 25, 30 points out of that imbalance. ES really didn't hold that shift. If you would have taken the entry on the ES there on the 1 minute, you're about to get stopped out, because it's kind of reapproaching the lows. ES still just kind of chopping around here down at the pivot point. Just trying to display some patience this morning. Trying my best to. Usually you get offered more than one, usually you're going to revisit that gap more than once. So that's what we're banking on this morning. Yeah, I really want to hit the button right now, but trying to be patient. That's what I really want to do, but trying to be patient. You can see on the 3-minute chart, it still has not offered, an entry yet. The entry would be there at 89, so it's kind of what I'm going off of. There is a tiny order block here on the 1-minute chart, but I ultimately don't think that's going to be respected. And even if it is, we're still looking at an entry right at the 50% mark there. So ES still just kind of doing what it's been doing, just hanging out at the 43.97 area. Not really making a push up just yet. All right, are we going to get the trade back into the volume imbalance now? That's what I'd like to see. Trade back into the imbalance now, get us tagged in. And then let's get this move straight through the VWAP there. That would be ideal. I'll be kind of watching this. If it doesn't quite make it to the imbalance, then I'm just going to probably take the entry in that 92 area. And I really want this thing to trade back into this imbalance. volume imbalance, repaint that. It's kind of my idea there.
Order filled.
So I'm going to go ahead and take the long on the Apex account here. And then we'll take an extra. We'll add on if it repaints the imbalance there. Again, the ES not really doing anything to speak of just yet. Oh, that's frustrating. And literally was right there at it. Trying my best to display patience here, guys, and I know that it's probably going to repaint that, but I guess we'll just put it at we'll just put it at 92, kind of guarantee. Not guaranteed because it may not visit it again, but you get what I mean there. I think the internet's kind of doing some funky things. Oh, wait a second. What the fuck?
Order filled.
Guys, I just realized I was on the complete wrong account. Oh my god, that could have been disastrous. I was on my funded account that's already been that I've already gotten my profit target on. Man, that could have been bad. Wasn't quite paying attention there. All right, ES still has not really made any, move worth mentioning yet. Still hanging out at that 98, 97, 98 level. All right, ES has left a fair value gap there on the 1 minute chart again. Kind of getting a shift to the upside here on the ES now. Got a shift on the 3 minute chart, but no fair value gap to speak of on the ES, but did leave one there on the 1 minute chart. Kind of trading back down towards the gap now. So maybe we can get filled here, potentially.
Order filled. Order filled.
All right, we're going to take one. And if it trades back down into that 92 area, we're going to add. All right, something like that. I lost my patience on this trade. I just was trying to be very patient for this volume imbalance, and it offered us two entries here. I mean, I could have already taken, we could have taken 92 up to 07, 15 points. Then we could have even taken another entry here for another 10 points, but that's all right. And again, as soon as I take the entry, I already know it'll come back and repaint the imbalance then, most likely. But if it doesn't, we'll take the 20 points here if we can get it, $400, and just be done. So let's see what happens. So I'm okay with it if it continues higher here. ES traded right back into the gap and now is pushing out. So I guess I could have taken the entry on the ES here instead of the NQ. But if it doesn't feel this imbalance and it goes up, breaks the VWAP, goes to 17, we'll just take it. And of course, there it is, trading back into that 93, 92 area. Probably going to trade back into the 80s. Just like we were trying to be patient for, but just kind of lost my patience there waiting on it. And if this goes down and stops us out for a pretty big loss, then we'll add this to our blunders, right? So once again, kind of traded down into that 92 area and then bounced out of there again. I do like how it's respecting that 1 minute gap. ES hasn't really gotten going yet. It traded back into that gap again. Trying to bounce out of there. And what we might do here is just, if this trades up into this VWAP area, we may just take profit there just to kind of secure something. And then if it trades back down into the 89s, we will re-enter at that point. I'm actually just going to go ahead and take it at that spot there. Oh, I guess it helps if I move the right one, but I didn't. That's okay. All right, so that gives us 290, 295. I mean, that's pretty close to our goal for this session. And this may just go without us. I mean, I still don't see how it doesn't revisit this imbalance. I'm just, we're approaching the 4 o'clock hour already, and with this not really getting going yet, I don't want to keep the risk on here. You know, the idea was to kind of take the $400 and just walk, but I lowered it down. I guess I mismanaged my math there. Now the ES has made a nice structure shift to the upside here, approaching the VWAP. So again, if this trades back down into this volume imbalance down here at 89, then we will re-enter. But this way is kind of the way I should have did it to begin with. I mean, I should have just taken one contract here and could have taken it off at $300, similar to this. And then if it trades back down, re-enter it again. So that's something to keep in mind. But at least we're locking down a nice little green London session right here. ES approaching the VWAP there. So kind of got impatient there, as I tend to do. I went into the session like, I'm going to be patient, and just, no. I mean, as patient as I could be, but goodness. So, all right, ES, nice shift to the upside now with a fair value gap left. A nice big fair value gap on the 1 minute chart there, and a volume imbalance below with a breaker or a order block right there with it. So possible move back into the 98s here on the ES. Let's see if that takes the NQ back down into that 89 area. Potential. Like I said, I feel okay about the trade. I definitely showed some impatience there. You know, would have liked more after having a $1,000 loser day yesterday, but it's okay to lock in some profit. ES trading back down into the gap now. And this may be a situation where the NQ never repaints that volume imbalance. And maybe I'm just wrong, because I know sometimes those imbalances are left open. But I need to study up a little more and figure out when it's okay for those imbalances to be kind of left open and when not. So if you're new here, do trade the London Open 5 days a week. Also trade the New York Open. Just looking for the silver bullet in general. Do sometimes take momentum trades when they present themselves, but found that I'm just not great at the momentum trades. So you can see this morning kind of not doing great. We had the shift to the structure in the upside here. We traded right back down into this small gap here. So I could have took the worst entry, got 15 points out of it. Didn't take the entry, was trying to be ultra patient this morning for this volume imbalance and the first gap on the 3-minute chart to be entered. So I had my order here, just below this small order block. Never got tagged in, kind of bounced back into the 92 area again, right here, and it bounced out of there. So when I saw this, and it didn't quite make it back to it here, I just FOMO'd into it a little bit and bought my contract there, and then just took a little, almost 15 points, basically, on each one. So I didn't handle it the greatest, but we made profit on it. Sometimes when you're right, you're wrong. Sometimes when you're wrong, you're right. It's just how it is with trading. So you can be both, right and wrong, you know. And I was like, I almost guarantee this is going to come back down to this imbalance, but it's almost 4 a.m. And not that you have to enter the trade before 4 a.m., but it normally presents its entry, you know, around then. Now the ES is trading back. It traded up to 44.01, kind of got rejected there at the VWAP. Trading back into a volume imbalance that it left on its way up. So kind of repainting that imbalance now. I don't think it's going to bring the NQ down far enough. Unless it's just made a liquidity run and now it's going to move back to the lows, which is always a possibility. So trading, it's repainting the imbalance now. So ideally you'd want to see a bounce out of there. Did it offer 5 handles? Let's look. So it would have been long from 97.75. And it went up to 01.25. So no, not 5 handles yet. Repainted the imbalance now. Let's see if it bounces out of here. You can see on the 1-minute chart here, we kind of created a new fair value gap, trade back into it, holding this kind of order block here. If you're unfamiliar with an order block, is really just a change in price delivery. So if you're on an uptrend and then you have one candle that closes down, that's considered an order block. Pretty simple explanation. ES looking kind of weak here. So I might be glad that I just took my quick profit when I could there. What are we at anyway? 5. Oh man, it's hard. It's hard to math when you're sleepy. All right, 592 minus 15, 580. So 577. $577 green so far. Just took one trade. Kind of proud of myself for that so far. I mean, if we trade back into this imbalance, then we might. take the entry there, but looking at how weak the ES looks, I don't know how much my confidence is in the trade now. And we are approaching that 4 o'clock hour there. So I think since, confidence not that high, let's give it a minute, see what it does here. But most likely we're just going to be done. Most likely that's going to be the scenario. We just probably will be done. But ES is traded through that gap. So I'm glad I didn't take the entry on the ES there. It would have been stopped out. That's not making it look too great. The NAS looks it's just looking a lot stronger this morning. Still didn't make it back down to kind of where we were thinking. That's okay. Like I said, I do trade the New York Open as well, and I trade the London Open every morning from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then 9:30 a.m. to about 11 a.m. for the London or for the New York Open. I do like trading the London because, like I said, I feel like it's easier to read. You can't make too much of an argument for the downside here, right? Not when you've sold off this much since yesterday. Since about 8 o'clock at night, we've just been in sell mode, right? So there's not too much argument to be made for the downside here. Really, you're just simply looking for a structure shift to the upside and an entry. Typically, I would take the entry, the first available entry that's offered to me on the 1 minute chart. That's what I've been trying to do. And then I always feel like when I do that, I could have got a better entry, right? It always comes down to the better entry on the 3 minute. And then tonight or this morning, that just didn't happen. Should have just taken the first entry it offered on the 1 minute. Could have taken it here, 15 points. Offered a second entry here, 15 points, 20 points, whatever it is. 20 points. Could have taken another entry. Well, no, that's the same one. Yeah. So, it is what it is. But we're going to go ahead and lock it down there. 575 is going to be the total for tonight. And I will be live at 9:20 a.m. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And as always, I'll see you next time.